everyone, welcome. My name is Alicia Magnus Lewis. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer at the Los Angeles Tribune, and I am here with my dear colleague, Dawna Campbell, who is the Executive Vice President of the Los Angeles Tribune Film Division. And we're here with you today for a very special program that is called Beyond the Pages, Visionary Voices. And so today you're going to hear with people that are here to inspire you to live a life beyond what you can imagine, because there's so much more that the world can offer us than we can really imagine. And so it is such a delight and honor to be here and to be hosting Marie Diamond, who is our special guest here with us today. So Dawna, what are you thinking about today as we kick off Visionary Voices in Focus?
All of the things that we really truly manifest for in our lives, the things that we truly want to have, the future we want to see for ourselves. But the secret along that is it's not outside of you, it's within you. And so one of the things I often think about is your future is not 2 months down the road, 4 months down the road. It is right here and now. Because if you are not creating it here in this very second, for the next second, to the next second, to the next second, you're just sitting around waiting. So I often think about manifesting and creating your future, but you're creating it now, in this moment.
I love that. And so we're going to go ahead and get started. I would love to sit down now here with my first special guest. And our first special guest today is actually Dawna Campbell. So Dawna Campbell is an author. She is a speaker. She is a film producer. And she's also a woman that worked in finance for a very long time. But she is also a healer, and she has healed through her global healing practice all around the world. And so just a few years ago, Dawna wrote an amazing book, and it's called The Abundant Soul. And so today we are going to talk about the abundant soul and talk about part one of her series, because her second book is actually coming out this year in 2025. But part one of the Abundant Soul series is all about creating inner wisdom for financial success. So Dawna, I mean, you've healed, you've worked all around the world, you've trained all around the world. What is it that really inspired you to sit down and write The Abundant Soul? And I have to say, write it while you were traveling around the world, because you were literally traveling around the world when you were writing this book.
I was. And the fun part about this is with The Abundant Soul, it was really a self-help novel taking the healing principles that I learned in the healing world with the financial principles that I learned when I was a financial advisor and a managing principal of an investment firm. And I was responsible at that time for $500 million of other people's money. So you learn a lot about money, but then when you apply it to healing, you realize that there's an intrinsic worth or intrinsic value to your internal wealth. And so what I wanted to do was take my first book, which was called Financially Fit, and translate it into a self-help novel so it was relatable to every single person, so you could have those aha moments and go, wait, that was me, or I was in that situation too. And then you can see how the main character, Crystal, moves through the story for her own self-healing to really create that inner wisdom for financial success.
That's so amazing. And The Abundant Soul, it follows the story of Crystal, right? But it is almost it's a fictionalized experience, but it's so deeply rooted in real life experiences. So curious here, why did you decide to write more of a fictional book to share the life lessons that Crystal comes to learn along her journey? And how has that resonated with your audience?
Well, what was fun with developing the character Crystal is that each and every one of the characters are inside of us, and we're all aspects of them. And by the character development, we're able to follow the storyline, but as she goes through the different things, the actual opening scene starts with a car crash. How many of you have ever been in a car crash, right? So we wanted it relatable and for people to resonate with the book, and then as she goes through her healing journey, what happens to her financially. And so some of the spiritual principles you'll learn with money is how you think and feel about yourself is how money responds to you in life. So if we don't feel like we're worthy or we're enough on the inside, chances are you don't have enough money in your bank account to fund your goals. And so there's a direct one-to-one correlation that I've learned about over the last 20 years, and that's a relatable principle. So if I was just to say, here's, topic number one, and this is what we're going to talk about, you understand it, but when you read it through story format, you can actually identify with it. So it is a fictional book, but yet it relates to each and every one of us because our aspects are all in it.
I love that. And, Dawna, today we have a very special guest with us, Marie Diamond, right?
I'm excited.
I know you've read her book, Your Home is a Vision Board.
On a plane.
Yes, I know you have her app. You've used the compass. And I've seen your office, right? And so you've made some shifts in your office after engaging with Marie's work and using her compass. So can you talk a little bit about some of the shifts that you've made in your own space and how you feel like that's inspired you as you've worked on part 2 of the Abundant Soul series?
Yes. So one of the things that I actually learned from Marie was not only like in money, how you think and feel about yourself is how money responds to you in life. How you think and feel about yourself spills over into your home environment. And where you live, how you live, where you have it decorated, what's in this corner or what's not, has an impact because you have a direct energy alignment with it. And I just remember one of the pieces of advice that Marie said was, put an amethyst crystal in this part of your office and it will magnify your success corner. So the very next day I dragged not a tiny crystal, but a 223-pound geode into my office and put it there. And then from that moment forward, my entire life changed because I followed her one abundance principle. So it really sets it up for the next book that will be coming out. It's Harnessing the Mind's Power for Mental Wellness because, of course, your character has to have more trials and tribulations. So we'll talk about mental health in that book.
I love that. And I think it's just a testament to the power of making one small or heavy, in your case, shift, right?
Go
to
big.
your space.
Just go big or go home.
Right? Go big or go home. It is a gorgeous amethyst crystal that is in your office, but it really has shifted and it has expanded the vibration. And so when you think about shifts, when you think about transformation, they can feel heavy sometimes, right? Because it's encouraging people to change an aspect of their life or to carry something literally heavy up into a new space. What are some of the principles that Crystal has learned along her journey that are kind of subtle hints about how she can transform, but still very impactful for her?
That's a great question because I know this is the first book and my mind is, my next book's coming out here within 30 days. Some of the different things in the financial world was money is very much emotional. And when you get into an energy of anger or resentment, or you're in that pure frustration, or you're struggling, you're going to keep recreating that over and over and over. And when we started here, I talked about manifesting. This moment's creating your next moment, your next moment, your next moment. So if you're in those moments of struggle and sacrifice, you're creating that for your future. And so one of the things Crystal has to go through is learning how to get good on the inside of who she is. She meets another character by the name of Sita, who is modeled after a medicine woman that I studied with, and who really gets her good and grounded in the heart space, only to realize it was already within her, and realize that, well, if I'm in that moment of joy or in that moment of happiness or lightness, that creates my future moments. So the struggle and the sacrifice isn't there anymore. You're in the lighter energies, and if you're in the lighter energies, manifesting happens 20,000 times faster because it goes light speed across the universe and back.
I love that. And if Crystal were to have Marie's compass, what do you think
That's a great question.
her colors would be? And what do you think that she would shift around in her space?
I know what my colors are. For some reason, when you asked that question, the very first thing that popped into my mind was green. And I don't know if that's on the color wheel or not, but it's a very, very healing color. But what's interesting is it's not in the book, in the second book, she does have a birthday So we know her age and the actual day. So you know what? I'm going to actually look it up in the compass because I can do that.
I love that. And I think Crystal's journey, right? It's fictional, and so it helps a person understand the aspects of them maybe they don't want to see, but they would benefit from understanding so that they can continue to evolve. And I think Marie's compass and some of the concepts that are in Marie's books show you how you can actually take an active action that doesn't have to feel so overwhelming, like journaling, like moving things around in your space is very healing too, right? Because you might have stuck energy there that you can move simply by shifting your space around. And it shows that it's all connected, right? And there are so many different ways to transform, and there are so many different ways to kind of expand your own presence in this world.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if you go with the premise that everything is energy and your relationship to everything, even everything in this room, it's set up and designed in a certain way. So you'll be able to hear from Maria a little bit later on the importance of that. But as I have implemented all of the things that I've learned through her book and through our conversations, one thing after another just changes and it just keeps going. And now people are like, how do you get this all done? And you're like, it just is. And I'm like, maybe because I just put in the right energy flow by reading the book. That could be very, very probable.
I love that. And so what would you like to leave everyone that has joined us here today? And I know that people have traveled and they drove in LA traffic and it was hot out here to be here. But about Crystal, as she goes into part 2 of her journey in the first book, they may not have read the first book, but some of these principles are timeless, whether they read them in the book or they hear them right now. So what would you want people to understand from some of the things that you have been thinking about as you have been actively writing part 2, as you continue to travel around the world?
There's a mantra that starts off in this book, and it says, trust and you will see, believe and you will know, have faith, all is well. Follow your heart and spirit will lead you. And there was a time in my life where it was very turbulent, and that was a mantra that I wrote for myself that I openly share with the world now to get myself through those hard times. And by following those principles, trust and you will see, believe and you will know, have faith, all is well, follow your heart and spirit will lead you, wisdom comes when you do. So in the second book, coming out, Harnessing the Mind's Power for Mental Wellness, there is a different mantra in the beginning of the book, and you will find as you read the story how that mantra pertains to Crystal's life and how she integrates it and what she does with it. And the same for the second book. There's 3 more books after this that will be coming out, and they will each have their own special mantra for each of the different topics we go through.
I love that. And Dawna, what haven't you shared yet about the entire kind of experience of writing The Abundant Soul? I think a common thread that is a nuanced one, I would imagine, is that you've literally written different chapters of the books in different areas of the world. And so what is something that you haven't kind of shared with us here today that you would like us to know, and maybe from the perspective of traveling globally while you've been writing it?
That I found the words translate across all cultures and all times and resonates to all of the people because we're looking at it from a universal perspective. And I'm going to say that as a writer, like Shakespeare, you are the author of the book, but you're also an aspect of the character of the book. But then when you're writing, you go, oh, this person kind of reminds me about this friend I have, so I'll put this one element in. And then over time, the characters just take on their own life form, but yet they're still you, they're still me, but they're their own energy and their own entity. So it's like being in all and the aspect of all at the same time.
Wow. Being in all and in the aspect of all at the same time. That's really, really good. I'm curious. If Crystal were to ask Marie Diamond a question, what do you think it would be?
Ooh, that is a great question. In the second book, do you guys want a little prequel? She has a moment, she destroys her house from the inside out, trying to get out. So when Marie is up here, she can answer that. What would be the very first thing you would tell somebody to start rebuilding their house on the inside after they are done sweeping up the glass all around? What would be one positive change to move forward?
That is a great question. We're gonna have to remember to ask Marie that in a little bit because that is actually a very, very fascinating question to ask about the rebuild.
Yes, yes. I did not think about that writing the book, so that might have to be in book number 3.
You're still writing the book. I think there's time. We'll see. Amazing. So for those of you that have been listening, what, if any, are some questions that you have with Dawna and with the character Crystal that she wrote about in the book, The Abundant Soul? Misty, I would love to start with you. What is a question that you would want to ask Dawna about her book, The Abundant Soul?
How does the Abundant Soul help business owners?
Ooh, I like that.
Well, Crystal, of course, being a corporate trainer like many of us were before we moved into the world of entrepreneurship, goes through the different changes a corporation would go through and have to navigate all of those different things. And you're really trading your time for money when you're working for a particular place. So really, what and how can we use those principles to really step out of that, step out of the what people call the rat race or the grind, to really start living your life on purpose and leave the job at the job, home at home, and really start going on that healing path and that journey.
I love that. That is so beautiful. We have time for one more question here. So, Tiffany, what is a question you would want to ask Dawna about the Abundant Soul?
If someone was in a scarcity mindset, how could they shift out of it?
That's a very, very long answer to a very simple question. But real quickly, to give you an idea, and one of the techniques that Crystal actually learns is a breathing technique. And so if you're in a scarcity mindset, what is the opposite of that? You might want to think of plentifulness. So you're just going to breathe, and when you breathe in oxygen, all the good things your body needs. So you're going to breathe in the word plentiful, or abundance. And you're going to breathe out the word sacrifice. And you're going to just breathe in and breathe out while you're thinking that for a good 3 to 5 minutes. And then that will give you a physiological change in your body. Sacrifice starts leaving, and the abundance starts coming in.
Thank you so much, Dawna. Oh, we have one quick question from Crystal.
How do you think writing The Abundant Soul has allowed your voice to become more abundant as a speaker?
That means it's going to be a good answer.
That's
She
a
had to
good
clear her throat.
Can you ask that one more time?
How do you think authoring The Abundant Soul has allowed your voice to become stronger as an individual?
How your voice becomes stronger, not in this moment, I need some water, is that when you have the words and they're all in your head, and then you have the ability to write them in a story format and actually ground them, then it anchors them to the earth. And when it anchors them to the earth, what I have found is, is the ability then to start speaking those words. One moment. And then when you start speaking those words, what happens next is you can go out, you can share the principles, you can speak in front of audiences, and then you can start transforming the audience as a group instead of one person at a time, because you have the strength to say it. And I think by writing, you have the ability to anchor to the earth, ground it, and then you start speaking it, and then your voice, because there's vibration and frequency to it, can act as divine healing, and words matter, and the intention and the undertone with them. So I think by writing it, it gives you the permission to move forward in speaking it.
And as she spoke those words, her voice got more clear, and that was the embodiment of her answer. Thank you so much, Dawna. Appreciate it.
Thank you.